USA Warrior Stories is a not-for-profit organization designed to record, archive, and share videos of veteran stories, to help veterans make a connection with one another and to help us all better understand their sacrifices for our freedoms.
Graduated from Niagara University in 1967, and then I got drafted right when Tet began in January of '68.
The Viet Cong Tet Offensive that opened 1968 did not take the Big Red One by surprise, since some kind of all-out enemy drive was expected. When the attack struck Saigon and the U.S. Embassy was assaulted, troops were rushed to the city. There was hard fighting.
I was initially stationed at a Lai K, 40 miles northwest of Saigon. I was in the Big Red One, Charlie 116. I was the M60 machine gun.
The history of the 1st Division, the Big Red One, begins as far back as the Revolutionary War. Its history runs parallel to the history of America. The Fighting First was organized as a division in World War I, when it scored the first American victory of the war at Cantigny. During World War II, the 1st Division, true to its name, was in the first waves of the invasions of North Africa, Sicily, and Normandy. 20 years later, when communist aggression in South Vietnam threatened the peace of Southeast Asia, the first full U.S. Army division sent to meet the challenge was the Big Red One. The Vietnam engagement was to be the longest and in some ways the most arduous of the wars fought by the 1st Division. But as always, the division lived up to its great heritage of valor and success in battle.
First time in a foreign country and knowing that you're going to battle. It was just the apprehension of what we were going to meet and how we're going to do it. And the greatest thing is that, I play a lot of team sports, but you're only as good as your weakest link. And everybody there was a team member. It didn't matter your color, your religion, your background, where you're from. I mean, you're all on the same team. And you bonded like that just almost automatically. If I have a fear of one thing, it's reptiles, snakes, okay? And over there, the two snakes you had to worry about were the pit viper and the cobra, okay? And one time we're back in Lai K, and we're just getting booted up for a little 24, 48 hours. So we had KP and so forth, and we're chatting, the meal's over, we're having just water and stuff, and one of the guys go, "Don't move." So we go, "What?" Next thing you know, boom, and there was a cobra just slithering over, okay? Now this guy was from Georgia. He saw so many snakes in his life, it was like nothing. Me, I would have been like a Jackie Gleason, a humma, 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 humma. Meanwhile, the snake would have gotten all of us. So, those are the things that you learn from different cultures of people, what they're used to. We're like a lot of the guys from Long Island, we never saw a snake before, unless we went to the Bronx Zoo and they were caged. Primarily what I did is go on recon missions and just find out where the enemy would be and so forth. We have 15 choppers come in an area, pick us all up, and go to the next spot. Wait for the command and just kind of walk around and hopefully find where they were. And we were in a number of battles. I was probably in 18, 20 small firefights, some 15 minutes, some an hour, until the last one where I got hit. That was a 3-hour firefight. We had a battalion, 500 men, and we walked into a 3,000-man triangular ambush, and they just opened up on us. And it was almost like the movie Platoon. We're getting bombarded from every different angle. You had a platoon, and you had pretty much 12 guys in the platoon. And the platoon leader would have been either probably a second or a first lieutenant. Then, of course, he had a radio man. And then you had a number of guys, just infantry, that had the M16s. And then you had the point man, who was like the scout. He would be 20, 30 yards in front, depending on the thickness of the jungle. And then you'd have me kind of right in the middle. And then I had 2 ammo bearers. And they had to carry the ammunition. I mean, I still carried. The gun might have been 40 pounds. My ammo might have been 15, but they carried 50 pounds of ammo, each one of them. And I mean, I was so lucky because those 2 guys didn't make it, and they were like 2 feet away from me. And I survived, and they died. What a shame, what a shame. But when we got hit, it was an RPG round, and it just, you know, spread the shrapnel all around. And when people go down, you're not sure, are they alive, are they not alive, and so forth. But they weren't moving. I tried to help them, and, you know, and meanwhile I was hurt, but I was just trying to feel what kind of pulse they had. I didn't feel anything. And then we did have a medic nearby, and he was, you know, trying to take care of everybody, and he was just being overwhelmed. We were being overwhelmed. And, you know, there was a battle of survival. About halfway through, an hour and a half, I was hit. I was in like a semi-coma, so I just heard the crackling of the firepower. And I was, you know, just kind of, you know, laying on my side. And I had my Achilles tendon severed, and then my knee was blown out. It was almost like when you've had angiograms or something like that, where you're semi-out and you know what's going on, but you really don't know what's going on. Well, that's how I felt with being wounded. I hear people screaming. I hear firepower, and I'm just kind of like loopy and not really knowing per se what was going on. And then it turned out that we had a small area of time of getting evacuated, and the chopper I was in was shot down. The pilot was killed, and the co-pilot took over. If I was fully conscious, I might have had a heart attack being hit and coming down. Now, I didn't even know this until I get back. I went to Vung Tau Hospital. That was like the southern east part of the country of Vietnam. And it was like the safest part to be in, because it was the R&R center for all the high militaries of the VC. That's where they all went for their R&R. So we were pretty safe there. And then I was there for about 2 weeks, and they determined I needed further, you know, I didn't get any major surgery there. And I went to Yokohama Hospital, and I was there for 7 weeks, and I had 2 operations, and they didn't take. So then I got sent out to Walter Reed, and I was there for 3 weeks, and they determined I should go to St. Albans. They had a special unit for orthopedic problems, and that's where I was for 6 months. And I was in a ward of primarily amputees, guys who had lost a limb or 2. And there was only 4 of us that had all of ours, and the other 40 did not. And they were so inspirational, because I said, how could I feel sorry for me when these guys are worse off and they're happy that they're alive, because they saw buddies of theirs who were far worse off that either didn't make it or their insides were all blown out or whatever. So, I mean, at that point, I said, hey, I just felt how lucky I was. I'm proud that I went to Vietnam. It wasn't the most popular war, but at the time, I'm thinking that, you know, it's the way to go. You're looking at, you know, one of the treaties and so forth. You're looking at, you know, the domino theory about other countries falling, and then we could be next. So I went over there. I went over there proud. But I found up until recently, nobody wanted to talk about the Vietnam War, okay? And even when I came back and I was recovered and released from St. Albans. You know, mostly women would yell at you and call you a baby killer and a warmonger. And, you know, they just were, you know, they were rebellious about the war and unhappy about things. But now the public has really opened up to all the veterans, you know, whether it's Afghanistan, whether Iraq, Vietnam, and so forth. Much more openness, much more, you know, even saying, hey, thanks for your service. I'm part of the American Legion over in Hampton Bays, and of course the VFW here in Westhampton. You know, I found the American Legion and the VFW tremendous as far as getting guys together and just doing things, you know, like whether we march or whether we help other people. You know, it's nice. You know, I'm like the chaplain over at the American Legion for our unit. And if there's somebody who's ill or something like that, I'll make a motion to go over and just say hello. And they're so thankful that somebody's still thinking about them. It was wonderful. It was wonderful how they set it up. And we're all part of it, a small part of it. And they basically had 6 veterans that were over there and wounded. And they had 3 Gold Star families. And each one had maybe a 5-minute or so little talk about what happened. And the music and the tribute was just unbelievable. And then at the very end, they had all of us on stage, you know, singing a couple of the patriotic songs. But it was just great to have this. And I really thank Gary Rackin and the band that he had and his wife, and it just made you so proud. I was so proud and happy, appreciative to be part of it. Being part of the military, it's a giving society, okay? And you give. And of course, what goes around comes around, and you get. But there's a sharing that I'm not sure people not part of the military, if they have it. I know the ones that are in the military definitely have it, because they all had to share something and help each other out, defend each other and help each other. So I mean, I have something that politically may not work, but I think everybody in our country should serve for at least 15, 18 months. I'm not saying go to war, but just be like a Peace Corps. You know, go down south, help people build homes or garden or, you know, just do something for the country. I think it would help the country tremendously, but I could probably have some arguments on that.